someone turns up in an office from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. doesn't mean they give more results than someone who works from 9 to 2 p.m. I'm looking at it in the same way, where people are using token maxing as a vanity metric to be like, look how much I create, when in reality, is what you're creating useful is more important to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, obviously it doesn't mean don't experiment. Like if there's new features, token max on the new features and experiment and be clear that that's what you're doing. I'm learning, you know.
Right.
But to have it as a measure of productivity, I think is wrong inside of organizations, teams, and this sort of thing. You know, a company obviously needs to have an R&D budget, and then they need to have, you know, an operations budget. But those are separate things, and confusing them, I think, is not good.
Yeah. Well, I think we were talking in the group chat a little bit about like a return on token spend, and when it comes to at least like how I'm spending my tokens on these, like, let's just say weekly optimizations, I'm always benchmarking it against something, whether that's Google clicks or whether that's Google ad spend or things like that. And I'm asking like, okay, based on the improvements that we just made in the last week, like, are we actually getting better? Or are we getting worse? Right? And having that understanding is, I think, more important than just like maxing and just ripping tokens again and again. Because you don't know, you might just be spinning your wheels and doing the same shit all over again. So.
And it's also like, here, there's the cost to run artificial analysis intelligence index, right? Like Claude or Anthropic models are way more expensive than GPT models to get to the same result at this point. So yeah, that comes down to the question again, like what models do you use for what, right? Yes, maybe that's where the 80-20 comes in as well, Luca, where you use your Opus for the 20% of planning, which it is the best at, but then you have GPT 5.5 executing, and it's like here, it's 40% cheaper, right? So then it executes, and it's better at executing because it doesn't ask you that much questions. It's just a better executor.
The speed
and
thing,
it's
maybe it's my impatience, but when I ask a question and it takes a minute and a half to reply, sometimes it happens on Claude. It drives me nuts. So I would rather I end up getting that same question, getting a response much faster from Gemini or Broch, and ending up having a conversation before Claude has given me a response. And then I would still go back and check that response from Claude because I know it's probably going to be a bit higher quality. But was that additional quality really needed in that context? Yes or no? I don't know. I think most cases it's no, because they're becoming so much better. And I think that no is going to continue to increase as time goes by, and less and less you need to use a frontier for everything.
See, I think that people are still just going to be using the most frontier models for years to come. People always just want like the best thing, even if it's marginally better than the next. And I mean, if I'm asking a question, especially, you know, a more complicated one, not just like, you know, what's the best restaurant nearby, I want to ask my smartest friend. I don't want to ask the friend that was smart maybe a year ago, but I've got new smarter friends that are now. And I just think it's a psychological thing where people are always going to be wanting whatever that frontier model is. They're going to want to ask it, just like they want the new iPhone.
But you're not going to ask your gym bro friend where is the best restaurant, right? So like for each specific use case, you're going to ask a different friend. So in that sense, it's maybe a little bit different as well. While nobody sees which model I'm using behind closed doors, except for the result that comes out of it, right? So I don't always need the latest and best thing to get to my destination. Yes, if you're building state-of-the-art apps, tools, and everything, and you can continuously optimize, it makes sense to pay a bit more to get the frontier model. But if you're using it in your day-to-day workflows, then, in my opinion, you don't really need it.
Yeah, so then speed or some other metric needs to be more heavily advertised from like a Google or someone else, right? Because
this is why I think you can just bring it down to this metric return on token spend, because if you get the same activity and you track whether the same activity using 4 different models gave the same return on investment, or what you calculated for each one. If it was indistinguishable, the difference in the result to create an SEO landing page, and you compared which one ranked better, and they all gave the same result, I mean, then you would be able to say, okay, it's fair to use any model for this use case. And I think that's what I want to be able to track better. It's like if I use, Opus versus Sonnet to just write some basic copy, that has a certain purpose, is it going to really help me that much more than if I used Opus 4.8, And then I think that's where I'm trying to get at with using the different models. But there are some tasks which I feel are simple enough that you don't need, the newest and the latest for the difference to be significant or for there to be a difference at all. And I think that the smarter the models get, the more of these tasks can be covered by any of the model, and the less you would need a frontier model to actually do it successfully.
Yeah, true. And this image here shows it very well as well. The tweet says, try justifying spending 100K on tokens spent when only 18K even makes it to a stable production feature. In the rush to maximize AI token spend, companies are wasting 44% on bug fixes, which are created by AI as well, right? It's like bugs created by AI, and then 44% of the spend goes to fixing the bugs that have been created by AI. This like, if you calculate this, 18% actually goes to a shipped product, 44% goes to bug fixing, 27% goes to rework, and 11% goes to reviewing. That's not very optimized way of working if this is the standard way of people token maxing. So there's definitely optimization possible.
Well, so when a normal feature gets released in the old way, right? You had a developer, then you had a quality assurance team, and oftentimes you would have to rework it and have a second iteration of it. The spend still versus the development team, the amount of features that are getting released now versus what a development team back then, it's surely more now. So I would question how different this is from what the distribution looked like 10 years ago when you had a QA team and the whole kind of product management team that was working along with it.
But then it comes down to as well, what's the best way to spend your token budget? What's the best way to spend, right? Do you want to spend it on open source models and pay per tokens as you go? Or what subscription do you go? If you have $200 to spend, what do you go with? If you have 120, what do you go with? If you have 50, what do you go with, right? Ben and Luca, I want to actually hear from you both. What's your current subscription stack looking like? And are you happy with it, or are you thinking to maybe switch it around someday?
For me, I'm just with Claude. I should really try out Codex. That's probably on my agenda for when we meet up in Malta, is like getting into Codex and understanding, because it sounds like the application especially, and the fact that it connects Claude Code with Cowork in a way where you can work together, like that's exciting to me. But I'm of the notion like all of these tools are kind of the same. They're slightly different UI, UX, but Claude does a better job of, let's say, gamifying and helping the average non-technical person being able to get into code. I think the Claude app has done a better job at it. They had the remote control. They had all these features that now Codex is slowly catching up to. But Dan Schipper, I know we'll talk about it, Rick, and this did resonate with me, was that Dan said the way Claude solves the problem is they're a junior engineer. They'll wrap a fix on top of it, as opposed to Codex having the conviction and the confidence of being able to totally remove the code and then replace it with a cleaner, less buggy version of it. And that aspect, to me, that was a light bulb where it's like, okay, we're going from a junior dev to a senior engineer who understands the whole system, has the confidence of it, instead of Claude being way more, let's just say, timid and saying, oh, well, we know how to fix this in the easiest way that won't break anything, but it's not necessarily the best way, and it might lead to a lot of technical debt. So I'm still with Claude Code. I'm at the $200 a month plan, and yeah, I'm gonna stick there for a little while at least. How about you, Luca? What are you?
Okay.
What are you? Are you still on Replit or?
Still shipping with Replit.
Alright.
Yes.
Luca, what's your monthly spend on Replit now? I think you should really try a
Yeah.
$100 Codex or $100 Claude plan to just get your feet
Yeah.
in the water, bro. Like it's been months.
I've used. It's true. I've used them, but I just find it comfortable on Replit because it's just everything's on cloud. Their app works good on my desktop, my mobile.
The main benefit that I find from using Codex or Claude Code is that you actually can use it locally in my files, and I have everything on my device, and it runs.
So I feel like Replit is almost that, but a closed version of it. So it's that. I think it's pretty much. If you had to describe what Replit is, that's a good way to describe it. It's like a closed version of Hermes, where you have that company who's building the harness for you. Everything is hosted kind of on their own servers, and they take care of a couple of things as well. So like most people are connecting SAPA base and these things when creating their apps. I skip all of those steps because it's all set up already in their environment. Again, convenience and speed for using Replit.
Talking about return on token spent, can we talk about return on capital spent on the tools? Because I wonder, what's the margin you get from executing or using Replit, and then versus doing the same things on a Claude or Codex subscription? Because I think the reason that I stopped using Replit,
gotta calculate it.
Yeah, the reason I stopped using Replit was because you pay a subscription, plus you pay for each and every little call you make. And that's what I found just not economically viable compared to the other tools out there.
It's true. I should analyze my token spend there and optimize it.
Right? Exactly.
Yes, it's true. I think again, the convenience has kept me in it.
So Rick, what are you on? You're just on Codex. You got off Claude Code completely?
I'm still on Claude Code, and I'm moving to Codex.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've been using them side by side. I still find myself using Claude way more because I don't get to my limits. I'm still on the $100 plan, and I feel like token maxing. I have to really go token max here, otherwise I'm wasting money and tokens. And then I have Codex. Also usually always open, but not using as much yet, because I still I would max it out as well if I intensively use it. I'm only on a $20 Codex plan. I'm downgrading Claude to 20. I'm taking Cursor 20. And I keep Codex on 20, but I might, if I see that I'm using Codex more and the user experience is better, I might even cut off Claude completely and go full Codex, $100, and then my stack would be like it says here, $100 Codex and $20 Cursor, because I can still use Claude models within Cursor. So then for creative writing, I use Claude. For podcast clips, analysis, and captions, I would use Claude, but then all the rest is Codex. Mm-hmm. So that's the two main use cases that I would use and the stack that I would prefer.
So if you're using the Claude app or the Codex app today, and you only have one of those applications that you can open for the next 2 days, which one are you going to open? Which one does it give you more satisfaction of building out that next, let's just say feature or product?
Like I said, for the past few weeks that has been Claude, but if you ask me now and it's and I have unlimited tokens, probably going to be Codex.
Yeah. So unlimited tokens, Codex, but Codex is more efficient with the tokens than Claude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the answer now is Claude because I have the most tokens in Claude to spend. That's why it's still Claude. But the user experience is not the best in Claude. It's just because it still has all my memory and it has all my projects and it has my pinned threads there, right? But those pinned threads, I'm only using the most recent threads anyway, so I can just leave that behind if I want to and get everything into Codex. And that maybe comes to the next thing that we want to discuss is the future of how are we actually going to use development environments, or even what's going to be the super app. And And this podcast that you referenced to, Dan Shipper, he was saying like everyone's going to be using their browser within Codex or within Claude Code in a year from now. And the combination of having your agents and your projects on the left side, and then, as you can see here on the right side, having your browser, that's going to be great. Like,
walk me through the use case, because it's nice that they're on the same page.
Here is a use case. You are building something. You're building an app. You need the database, like you mentioned, Supabase, right? Now you're building this on the left side, as you can see. Hey, I'm building this app. I need a database. The agent then opens Supabase. You log in once to your Supabase, and boom, your Supabase account and login and everything is saved in the browser within Codex. Next project that you're building, agent needs a database. It can automatically open the browser, and it is logged in there. You don't have to do anything anymore. So you can skip this whole going to Supabase, logging in, creating an API key, all of that stuff. The agent can now do that. It's like websites are becoming agent first as well, right? Where like the apps of the future, the websites of the future, they're going to have an agent onboarding. This was something that I took away from this podcast as well. How you get onboarded now to an app is tell us about yourself, fill in this form, checkbox, where are you coming from, who are you? That might just shift to copy paste this prompt into your Claude or your Codex and then paste back what's the reply. Like it's an agentic onboarding, and that was such an eye-opener for me.